The Doctor.
Oh, hello.
He has a knack for making enemies of monster proportions.
We have an intruder!
From the hungry to the hairy, the frightening to the fiery, the angry to the ugly. He's fought them all. 60 minutes, some seriously scary monsters, and one question.
Do we have a deal?
Join Doctor Who's greatest moments as we face his most fearsome foes.
From my point of view, what makes the more interesting monsters are the ones that the Doctor has a kind of emotional reaction to.
If you're escaping, then I've got to stop you.
The scarier they look, I think the scarier they are. That's what I think.
Kill this chattering little doctor man!
I think you have to be very dangerous if you are going to be an enemy of the Doctor.
They have to be nearly as intelligent as the Doctor. Nearly for a moment. You think, my goodness, he's going to lose it this time.
This plan of yours, what is it?
You don't know.
That's why I'm asking.
Well, show me how clever you are. Work it out.
They can be bonkers and they can be foaming at the mouth, but they need to have the kind of size and weight and strength to kind of counter the Doctor's extraordinariness.
To begin this trip down enemy lane, Doctor Who's greatest moments looks at a certain someone from the Doc's own galaxy. He's a turncoat Time Lord, and every inch the arch-villain.
The Return of the Master was one of the best ideas.
You're not wrong, John. Bringing back this old enemy was, well, a masterstroke. But when he first appeared, he wasn't the man he used to be. Instead, the Master was the mild-mannered Professor Yana.
It was only during the course of the episode that they were fed in little clues as to the Professor being not all he seemed to be.
There's noise inside my head, Doctor. Constant noise inside my head.
What sort of noise?
It's the sound of drums. More and more, as though it's getting closer.
The build-up to Professor Yana not being Professor Yana. And I thought, I know what's going to happen here. I know there's only one person it can be, but actually to go, with the sound of drums and then those little bits of audio of Roger Delgado and Anthony Ainley and just little things building up.
The moment of the watch was pivotal, I think, to the whole story, because that's when the Professor remembers how it all began.
Weirdly, it was that simple fob watch that was hiding the fearsome Master all the time.
It was just thrilling. It was like putting the pieces in a puzzle together.
I am the Master.
I would like to have been around longer to have actually indulged in the criminality and villainy of the Master, but I wasn't allowed to.
The Master. Reborn.
I think they wanted a younger model. So that was the end of Professor Yana and me.
The Master's latest regeneration made him younger, smarter, funnier, but also completely
bonkers. Some people think I'm bonkers, but I just think I'm free. And I'm just living my life, there's nothing crazy about me. Hello!
Oh, all right then, it's me.
I'm the Master.
Here come the drums!
Some people pay for thrills, but I get mine for free. Man, I'm just living my life, there's nothing crazy about me.
Laser screwdriver. Who'd have Sonic?
Just why was this bad boy Master quite so?
Bonkers.
John Sim, as the Master, was just, properly insane.
He is arrogant, he's mad, he's really quite bad, but not in a kind of real typical villain, baddie kind of way. He's really charming, really funny, really amusing, really quite like a child in so many ways.
Funny is like this. Not funny is like this. And right now, I'm like, because you are traitors. Yes, you are!
He's so raw with his emotion as well, and I mean, he doesn't hide it very well, or, literally you can see him having tantrums about things, and that's what's quite scary, because he could just flip.
Ta-da! Sorry, I have this effect. People just get obsessed. Is it the smile? Is it the aftershave? Is it the capacity to laugh at myself? I don't know. It's crazy.
He is polar to the Doctor, and I love the scene where they talk to each other about their chosen names.
Master.
I like it when you use my name.
You chose it. Psychiatrist field day.
As you chose yours. The man who makes people better. How sanctimonious is that?
The Doctor's relationship with the Master is quite complex. He must stop the Master doing all the terrible things the Master wants to do, but at the same time, he feels this bond with him and he wants to reach out to him.
Because of their history together. They were both young boys on Gallifrey together.
Where is it, Doctor?
Gone.
How can Gallifrey be gone?
It burnt.
He's chosen the dark path, a real complex Time Lord. But then they had this path together, the Doctor and him, so he wasn't always like that. So something's happened along the path to make him think this way, so, really layered and really interesting.
The Master's real trouble and strife came from, his real trouble and strife. And this bullet was his final downfall.
How about that? I win.
But don't get too emotional over this moving scene, because this may not be the end for the Master. Remember, he's already disguised himself as a flashy fob watch, so who's to say that this bit of bling isn't him? Next, on Doctor Who's Greatest Moments, we bring it all back down to earth as we look at the threats that are much closer to home. The good old Doctor has a special place in both his hearts for the people of Earth, even though he's faced his fair share of hostile humans.
Gotcha.
From megalomaniac millionaires to fake fiancés, he's had to fend off the very worst that our planet has to offer.
There are a few kind of evil geniuses that have come from within humanity itself.
Every great hero needs an antithesis. It's got to be one of the primary laws of the universe. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. In this case, for every hero, there is an equal and opposite hero,
Hold your fire!
I know everything about you.
Delete them.
May God forgive me.
Meet the rich, the vain, and the all-round bad egg, Henry Van Statten.
I am Henry Van Statten, now recognize me!
This guy's a crazy curator of all things alien.
Chunks of meteorite, moon dust. That's the mileometer from the Roswell spaceship.
And the star of his out-of-space museum? Yep, it's a Dalek, but he knows nothing about this exhibit's exterminating ways.
I don't want to scratch on its bodywork, do you hear me?
I think he is quite evil and quite brilliant. I don't think he thinks of himself as an evil genius. I think he thinks of himself as an opportunist, someone who's taking advantage of a situation.
This technology has been falling to Earth for centuries. All it took was the right mind to use it properly. Oh, the advances I've made from alien junk. You have no idea, Doctor.
He did what every human being did. I saw what was, and I wanted more.
If the Dalek gets out, it'll murder every living creature. That's all it needs.
But why would it do that?
Because it honestly believes they should die. Human beings are different, and anything different is wrong. It's the ultimate in racial cleansing. And you, Van Statten, you've let it loose.
I think that's what it is. I want to be recognized. I want to be remembered. That's Van Statten. He wants to go down. He wants to go down in the world history with his name emblazoned across the atmosphere.
Sadly for Van Statten, he doesn't go down in history, he just goes downhill.
What the hell are you doing?
And by tonight, Henry Van Statten will be a homeless, brainless junkie living on the streets of San Diego, Seattle, Sacramento. Someplace beginning with S.
As we continue to explore the Doctor's greatest Earthling enemies, we next cross the pond to 1930s New York, where a sharp-suited and smooth-talking Mr. Diagoras is following some rather dodgy Art Deco Dalek designs.
The Empire State Building must be completed in time.
It will be. Trust me. The reason they chose him, it wasn't random. They chose him because he had this, this drive to succeed no matter what, which is very Dalek. They saw that potential.
I want to run this city, whatever it takes. By any means necessary.
You think like a Dalek.
I'll take that as a compliment.
In Mr. Diagoras' mind, I think he thought he was going to become the king of the Earth using the Daleks. And that they would just give him all the power and he'd build all the stuff for them, but he would keep the Earth as it was. And I think he was fairly taken by surprise there.
Slaves, secure the human.
But you don't need to do that. I'm on your side. I'm working with you. I'm your partner. I'm your friend. Turning into the first ever human Dalek was amazing.
No! Get off me! I did everything you asked of me! No!
But Mr. Diagoras gets more than he bargained for, as he's transformed into the first human Dalek hybrid.
I am a human Dalek.
I talked to Nicholas Briggs, who does all the voices there. He's fantastic. And I said to him, look, would you mind reading all my lines, not with your effects box, but pre-effects, so I can hear the rhythms that you would have done if you were just the Dalek? And he said, okay.
So there I am, sitting in his hotel room with him, with his computer open and some sound program on it, and I'm reading all his lines out for him. And I just think the chambermaid coming past and me going, I am a human Dalek. I think, oh dear, the guests we get in this place are nuts, you know.
Now we really have saved the best till last, because the final evil Earthling to be examined by Doctor Who's greatest moments is the cosmetically enhanced Cassandra O'Brien.
Oh, now, don't stare.
I was sent the script, and it was so witty and naughty that I couldn't resist it.
I've had my chin completely taken away, and look at the difference. Look how thin I am. Thin and dainty.
She'd had so many facelifts and medical procedures to make herself thin that she had turned into a flat piece of parchment.
How many operations have you had?
708. Next week, it's 709. I'm having my blood bleached.
Her main objective in her life is to keep the plastic surgery going as long as she can, because she's never going to be happy with the way she looks. And therefore, power is just part of it.
I'm not just a pretty face.
Sabotaging a ship while you're still inside it, how stupid's that?
I'd hoped to manufacture a hostage situation with myself as one of the victims. The compensation would have been enormous.
5 billion years and it still comes down to money.
She likes to mess things up a bit, I think.
Systems. Bye-bye, darling.
Safety systems.
Bye-bye, my darling.
The Doctor foils her cunning plan.
You're creaking.
It's too hot.
You raise the temperature.
I am too young.
Ooh! Despite that rather unpleasant facial popping, the plastic fanatic made a full recovery on New Earth. And on her return, she was even cheekier than ever.
The sisters are hiding something.
What do you mean?
Hush. Let me whisper. Come close.
You must be joking if you think I'm coming anywhere near you.
Chip, activate the psychograph.
Come in. Cassandra, let me go! What are you doing?
The lady's moving on. It's goodbye, trampoline, and hello, Blondie. And so she manages to get hold of the doctor and of Rose and jumps into them.
Well, I can talk. New doctor.
Aren't you just?
Terminal's this way.
Yeah. Still got it.
The brilliant thing is jumping into other people, jumping into the doctor, jumping into Rose, and turning them into these awful, sort of rather arrogant, naughty people.
Get out of him!
He's slim and a little bit foxy. You thought so too. I've been inside your head. You've been looking. You like it.
Coming up now on Doctor Who's Greatest Moments, we continue with a look at those enemies who really bother your brain.
What the hell?
So stay tuned to find out more about this terrifying technique. Over the years, there's been no shortage of body-snatching space invaders, from gas mask zombies to the fearsome family of blood. These mind control maniacs muscle their way into your head.
What's happening to you?
Have you ever had any form of hypnosis?
I'm here to work.
We need bodies.
Don't worry.
Why are you repeating? Why are you repeating?
Are you my mummy?
When characters are possessed by something, what's alarming is that you don't quite know what's going on.
And it occurs in 42, the idea of it's a sentient sun, which is a beautiful idea, but its actual way of manifesting it is those fantastic blazing eyes and a catchphrase, you know, burn with me. I think it's just great. I love that episode.
This ship is the SS Pentalion, captained by Kath MacDonald. When she meddled with matter that didn't concern her, she encountered some menacing marital problems. Her husband became fiery, and you could say, overly possessive.
Help me! It's burning me!
How long's it been like this?
Ashton just brought him in. What are you doing?
Don't get too close.
He's so stupid, he's my husband.
And he's just sabotaged our ship.
What?
He went mad. Put the ship under secure closure. Then he sent a heat pulse to melt the controls.
No way he wouldn't do that.
I saw it happen, Captain.
Well, it's a bit of a shame, actually, because Corwin, her husband, was probably the best-looking member of the whole ship. And the poor guy, you know, gets attacked by this thing and then has to have this mask. Most of the time, Corwin wanders around saying, burn with me, and sort of walks around a little bit like a sort of Frankenstein character. It's just the whole atmosphere of that episode and the not knowing. That's what makes something far more frightening anyway, is that you don't actually really see what's going on.
Who the hell did that?
Kath's already been told by the doctor that he's gone, he's not coming back, and she actually comes face to face with him, and obviously knowing that he's been taken over, but she tries to see whether she can get to him.
That's right. You're still in there. I'm your wife.
It's your fault.
And it's very sad because then you just realise actually he's gone. It's just too late, and you know she's never going to get him back.
Well, she said she thought her husband was hot. Most certainly is now. But when it comes to mind games, the sky's the limit.
Sky?
Sky?
Are you all right?
Are you all right?
Are you hurt?
Are you hurt? I played Sky Silvestri in the episode Midnight. And to begin with, Sky was just a passenger on a day trip, sitting next to the Doctor and sharing this sort of rather unpleasant airline food.
Oh, what's this? Chicken or beef?
I think it's both.
And then the vehicle stops and something horrible is outside.
I can guarantee you everything's fine.
What is that? Someone out there?
Now, don't be ridiculous.
Like I said, it could be rocks. We're out in the open. Nothing could fall against the sides.
And the person that it decides to go for is Sky.
It's coming!
So Sky goes from being someone who wouldn't say boo to a goose, who's just enjoying a day trip, to someone who really goes very wrong indeed.
You're right. Just look at me.
There was something absolutely terrifying going on behind her eyes. And actually, when I saw it, it did look pretty scary.
It was a real thrill to get to do something that was a real acting exercise, actually.
It was really exciting to see whether or not we were going to be able to do it, and thank goodness we did. This episode didn't really rely on a lot of special effects or CGI.
No prosthetics, you know, all the things all those wonderful things that go towards making this series so special, but then fascinating now and again to just strip all that away as well and just let the story be told.
There were 3 different stages to Sky's alien takeover.
Okay, can you stop?
Okay, can you stop?
I'd like you to stop.
I'd like you to stop.
I think you should leave her
alone.
How can she do that? She's talking with you. And with me. Oh, my God.
So, what do you think? Do we have a deal? David and I had quite a lot of fun together, repeating shamble, bobble, dibble, dobble, or dibble, dooble.
Shamble, bobble, dibble, dooble.
It was almost like mirroring each other. It reminded me of a kind of crazy sort of exercise that you might do at drama school.
It's inside his head.
It's inside his head.
It killed the driver.
It killed the driver.
And the mechanic.
And the mechanic.
And now it wants us.
And now it wants us.
Sky's vanquishing, if you like, happens from an unlikely source because she's managed to get the rest of the passengers on her side and think that the Doctor is the one who's dangerous and that they're planning to throw him off. But the hostess has been alerted and alarmed by the fact that Sky uses 2 phrases that the Doctor uses very early on. He says allons-y and molto bene.
You can do it. You can do it. Molto bene. Throw him out.
Molto bene.
Get him out. Allons-y. I want him out.
Allons-y.
And the hostess hears them and just knows that this thing is wrong. And so the hostess manages to pull her to the back of the vehicle and she sacrifices herself and pulls herself and Sky out of the back door.
She's taken his wife!
As if those foes were not fearsome enough, our next set of brutal bad boys blow them away. With buns literally made of steel, these cybernetic nasties are the most persistent of the Time Lord's enemies.
Cybermen.
Work it, make it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger. Get harder, do it faster, makes us stronger. Work it ever over, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger. Work it ever over.
The Cybermen are loved and loathed in equal measure. They're loathed because they are a terrifying enemy, and they are, again, an indestructible, robotic foe that doesn't work by human morals and can't be reasoned with.
No, you can't do this! We surrender! We surrender!
This one has increased adrenaline, suggests that he has vital Dalek information.
I demand you leave that woman alone! You promised me! I won't help you! You gave me your word! Don't fight! I'll think of something!
I think it's very alarming for human beings to think that they might be governed by machines.
Delete. Delete. Delete.
It was quite weird one day when we were filming with all the children on this set, which was like this Victorian-like workhouse, and these guys were walking around, and you could see on the kids' faces that some of them were pretty freaked out by it, that they were slightly sort of thinking, what's going to happen here, you know?
It's a Cyber King! The Cyber King is what? It's a ship, Dreadnought class, front line of an invasion. And inside the chest, a cyber factory, ready to convert millions.
They're pretty formidable sort of people to come across. And also that thing of fighting with them, you think, well, it should be easy to fight with them, but, you know, nothing hurts them. So they just keep coming, and there's so many of them, you don't know where they're appearing from, really.
Who is it then, I hear you ask, that is responsible for these crazed cyborgs? Well, I'll tell you. It's this moneyed megalomaniac right here, John Lumick. As head of Cybus Industries, he has a menacing metal plan to place everyone in an armoured body casing. And as evil plots go, this one is pretty solid. Solid steel, in fact.
Emotional inhibitor. Stops them feeling anything. Why? Still got a human brain. Imagine its reaction if it could see itself, realise itself inside this thing. They'd go insane.
The aim of these scary cyborgs is to upgrade the population of Earth and turn the whole planet into one giant cyber army.
My everlasting children, tell me, how does it feel?
We feel nothing.
Excellence.
Now, not all of the Doctor's enemies stand out from the crowd. In fact, some are almost impossible to spot.
I think you'll find the Prime Minister is an alien in disguise.
Many of the Doctor's enemies may look like harmless humans, but soon they always reveal an ugly side. From abominable Absorbeloffs to killer Krillitanes.
Carrier Knight! She was begging for the bite of a plasma ball.
They all commit their dastardly deeds in disguise. Find out what makes these undercover enemies so appealing.
Green, stinky aliens.
And you think, oh yeah, they're really cute. So not cute.
Played spectacularly by Annette Badland.
My true identity is Blonde Felfoch Passimir de Slabine. You can call me Blonde. There's a recession out there, Doctor. People are buying it cheap. And I come from Raxacorica Thalabratorius. Our episodes were set in the modern day. And despite bumping into Big Ben in the Thames, we would have taken over the world eventually. I'm shaking my booty.
Great. aliens that fart.
Oh, excuse me.
Because they were so large and they wanted to take over the other people's bodies and bring together, people so they could destroy the planet, they did have a little gaseous exchange, which was difficult for them. But it was the only way they could inhabit the bodies, you see.
They're human form, but inside they're very different, very green and very smelly.
Seeing the Slitheen unzip and the beam of light coming out and not knowing at all what's going to come out, and then to its wonderful green reveal, just brilliant, just brilliant.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Professor Richard Lazarus, and tonight I'm going to perform a miracle.
Now take a look at this old-timer. Potty Professor Lazarus here has a plan to hold back the years with a gadget designed to get his youth back.
I am 76 years old, and I am reborn!
I would say this, of course, but I think Lazarus is misunderstood.
It's impossible. It must be a trick.
Oh, it's not a trick. I wish it were.
What just happened then?
You just changed what it means to be human.
In his twisted logic, he was trying to improve humanity.
This isn't about improving. This is about you and your customers living a little longer.
Not a little longer, Doctor. A lot longer.
He was doing the wrong thing. He was just sacrificing people all over, and eating people and turning into a monster. By sort of splitting open his DNA, he'd started to revert to some sort of genetic cul-de-sac that, from humanity's past, this sort of scorpion-like creature with my face on it.
Run!
There was one particular moment when, amongst all the kind of madness of pinching myself that I was doing it, I was shut into the Lazarus pod, which I'm now going to call it, the genetic manipulation device. And I had to be shut in so they could fill it up with dry ice. And I suddenly had this proper stab of Saturday nightness. And I just thought, oh, God, I'm in Doctor Who. That's just amazing.
Next, another of the Doctor's enemies, hiding behind an alter ego. Meet the villainous vicar with a sting in his tail.
I played the Reverend Golightly in The Unicorn and the Wasp, which was a wonderful Agatha Christie pastiche episode, set in the 30s.
Agatha Christie.
No! Show yourself! Ginger beer!
Good afternoon, my lady. Topping day. What? Spiffing. Top hell.
Reverend Arnold Golightly. Well, the Reverend Golightly is your typical village vicar. Beautiful day. Lord's in his heaven, all's right with the world. Unbeknownst to everybody else at the manor, he does have a habit, when he's angry, of transforming into a giant Vesper form and murdering people. It's not every day you get to be an absolutely charming vicar and then turn purple, buzz insanely, and turn into an enormous insect that goes around stinging everybody.
All right, I need to investigate. You just buttle off.
I love the moment when Donna first hears the wasp.
Hold on. I shall find you with my amazing powers of detection.
She walks in and the curtains are closed and she hears the wasp before she sees it. And when the curtains are thrown back and she sees it, it's just a fantastic moment because not only is it a wasp, but it's huge and fills the window. And there's a sort of look in Catherine's eyes of, what, can it really be that big? It's just fantastic. My favourite villains have always been the insectoid transforming type. So I think I've exorcised the demons of my young Doctor Who watching days by playing that very giant wasp that turns around and gets his revenge.
Of course, some of the Doctor's enemies don't feel the need for fancy disguises. They just let it all hang out.
Yes, alive.
They can be cute, crazy, and sometimes even carnivorous. Yep, the universe is full of wild and wonderful creatures, out to cause havoc for the Doctor.
The greatest feast of all, the Doctor.
Often, of course, the creatures are kind of made by the performance. I think something like the Empress of the Arachnos, without Sarah Parish in it, would have been a very different thing. But she sort of arrived spitting and snarling with these brilliant false teeth and all these eyes all over her head.
Arachnos? That's impossible. You're one of the Arachnos. Empress of the Arachnos.
She put herself 110% into it. Completely real performance.
Fully inhabiting this creature and making it something very special.
Doctor Who's one of those great jobs where you're just sort of summoned to do it, and you're very privileged to do it. So I was just told I was going to be the Empress of Arachnos, and I was thrilled. And I kind of had all the prosthetic fittings and the teeth and the eyes and all this. And then I got to the hotel the night before and went, oh, God, you know, I don't know how she talks. I haven't got a clue how she talks. So I sat in the hotel, much to my neighbours' amazement or amusement, I would have thought, trying out all these different spider voices. What would a spider sound like? And I eventually sort of came up with something that I thought might not be too embarrassing and went with that.
Such a sharp mind. That's it, the last of your kind. The Arachnos come from the dark times, billions of years ago. Billions, they were carnivores, omnivores. They devoured whole planets.
Arachnos are born starving. Is that our fault?
Well, the Empress's plans were she was going to come down in her spaceship, and she was going to, in the centre of the Earth, were all her children, basically, hibernating. She was going to come down in her spaceship, and she was going to bring them back to life, reignite them, if you like, and they would burrow up from the centre of the Earth and take the Earth over.
The Doctor Man amuses me.
Empress of the Arachnos, I give you one last chance. I can find you a planet. I can find you and your children a place in the universe to coexist. Take that offer and end this now.
These men are so fun.
I think the Empress of Arachnos liked being around the Doctor. She's a girl, you know. She hasn't seen anyone for years. He's a good-looking bloke. There's a bit of a size difference, obviously, but you can get over that. But I think she fancied him. So I think they had the kind of little flirty banter going there. Well, at least in her head, they did anyway.
But not every alien is taken with the Time Lord.
I mean, something like the Sycorax, that whole sense of honour and there being a kind of... you kind of get what their world is, I think. You can sense that there's a real society there and a culture that they're part of.
The Sycorax leader was, as the title says, the leader of a nation called the Sycorax. And their means of threatening the Earth was to have a mechanism whereby they control a third of the Earth and hold them to ransom. And should the Earth not do as the Sycorax want, then they would basically kill these third of the population.
We own you. We now possess your land, your minerals, your precious stones. You will surrender, or they will die.
Who's they? I don't know, but it is the right personal pronoun. It's they.
Sort of just baddie arrives and threatens the whole planet, really. Initially, you saw them as a group. There was 2 or 3 shots of the Sycorax talking to the Earth through a video link with extra helmets on, so you thought that's what they would look like. And then it was only my character that took the helmet off, so there was a sort of double whammy for the audience of thinking that's what they look like.
It's a helmet. They might be like us.
or not?
Often what is filmed is not what is seen on the screen, because they then CGI it, whereas actually I really was what was seen on the screen, which was exciting. So it was sort of relying on me inside the garb, creating a believable foreign creature.
Now, are you ready for a big bit of little trouble? The Sontarans are born for battle, cloned for combat, and ready for war.
Glorious warfare!
They're like school bullies. They're like the classic school bully in space.
With their sole mission being to conquer and destroy and command other universes.
Nasty, brutish and short, I think, is a fair description of them. Potato-like in appearance, got a large domed head, and they reproduce by cloning so they can sustain massive, massive casualties.
This is too easy. They're running like slime bait from a spiel box.
So, lots of short little guys who want to win a war, and nothing's going to stop them.
The Sontarans make a really good villain, actually, because they're that great cross of the sort of the gothic, the monster, and the kind of grotesque, and the sci-fi, this kind of edgy, superior being.
The Sontarans are the finest soldiers in the galaxy. Dedicated to a life of warfare, a clone race grown in batches of millions.
We wouldn't really believe a human whose only mission in life is to destroy, and that's kind of it, and to overtake. But with the Sontarans, you absolutely do buy into it.
The process is about to begin.
Then you'll see it completed, Commander Score. Get to it!
Yes, sir.
Well, I was Commander Score, known as Score, the Bloodbringer. He gets things done. He's not so much of a strategist. He's more someone who likes to pick up a gun and to run into the middle of things and just enjoys a good fight.
This isn't war, this is sport!
Score is a bit more of a sort of project manager. This is how it's got to be. You're in the way, so I'll destroy your entire planet.
Commander Score, is the attack squad ready?
Ready and eager for battle, sir. We've been watching for long enough. It'll be good to taste blood. The reason why they want to take over Earth in this particular instance is they want to use it as a cloning ground for their army.
Give them a planet this big, they'll create billions of new soldiers.
To that end, they want to change the Earth's atmosphere so it's a more pleasant environment for the flourishing hatchling Sontaran, whatever that may look like.
Helping these toy soldiers realise their plans is rich young genius Luke Rattigan. Responsible for the Atmos satellite navigation system, this silly boy causes quite a big stink.
Luke's fascinating because he's basically, he's kind of a version of the Doctor gone a different path, I suppose. He's got the same genius gene going on, but he's taken that to a very different place.
Look at this place.
What exactly do you want?
Which is this spoilt brat, basically, who just happens to have a mansion because he's a millionaire, but were he not who he is, he'd just be a brat stamping his feet.
Take your last look, boy. It was never big enough for me. I like your ambition.
I love the relationship between the Sontarans and Luke. When Luke, bless him, joins in with the Sontar-ha moment.
Sontar! Sontar!
He really wants to be one of them, and yet he so isn't.
Sontar! 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 Sontar!
I think the Sontarans, they don't get that many pleasures in life, so I think the actual thrill of battle is quite a big one.
The honor of battle. The glory.
Even though it's quite inconvenient getting killed, it's still brilliant. So that's why Score, when he actually gets shot, it's just wonderful. Oh. Wonderful. My life is done. I've died in battle. That's absolutely... What more can I ask for?
Of all the creatures, the aliens, the robots, and the power-mad megalomaniacs, there is, of course, one race of beings that the Doctor fears the most.
Exterminate!
Most people in the street, if you ask them about Doctor Who, the second thing they're going to say after the Doctor is the Daleks.
The Daleks will never lose their power to scare the living daylights out of people.
Exterminate all life forms below!
They are BAD bad.
The absolute single-mindedness of purpose.
Life forms detected! Exterminate!
They're just a great piece of design, aren't they? They're a piece of timeless, classic design. That's got to be part of it. The voice, I think, has got a lot to do with it.
Exterminate!
They just take orders. They're killing machines. They don't think, they just kill.
They're not going to ever do anything nice. It's not just a mindless killing machine, it's a really smart killing machine, and it's not going to miss a trick.
There's something so calculated and cold about them, and they're just like it seem to embody hatred.
You didn't need to kill him!
Neither did we need him alive!
They're sort of like that nightmare you have where however fast you run, they're always just behind you. Even though they're on wheels, I don't know how they, move about that well. But, you can run and run and run, and they're just there. They're still just there, coming really slowly behind you. That's scary.
It's the voice, isn't it? It's got to be the voice, definitely. There's something about it. It's a nightmare voice.
Doctor! Exterminate! Exterminate! Let me out!
I think it's the fact that it does sound electronic, so it's clearly coming from a machine, but at the same time, it's got such anger to it.
Do not blaspheme! Do not blaspheme! Do not blaspheme!
It barks orders. It's not a voice that allows for much nuance, exactly, shall we say. You couldn't see a Dalek playing Hamlet exactly. So, it wouldn't be
to be or not to be? That is the question. Social interaction will cease.
Not only are they his greatest enemies, but they're responsible for killing everyone he ever knew.
I demand orders!
They're never gonna come! Your race is dead! You all burn, all of you. 10 million ships on fire. The entire Dalek race wiped out in 1 second.
You lie!
I watched it happen. I made it happen!
As a child, I was always terrified of the Daleks, always terrified. But then as I got older, one was never that frightened of them because you realised that they couldn't get up the stairs. And then there was the moment in Series 1 when the Daleks there's a massive flight of stairs and you think, oh, how frightening can they really be? And they levitated.
Stairs. It's more like it. Hasn't got legs, it's stuck. It's coming. Get out!
I think there was great anticipation about, how would they deal with stairs? If these are going to be new, exciting Daleks.
Great big alien death machine, defeated by a flight of stairs.
And it really is rather nice the way they do it, where it just looks up at them, and it doesn't kind of just dive at them, it kind of just slowly relishes the moment. You say, I am going to get you. It doesn't matter how fast you run. I can hover over anything. I can get you.
Come with us, you can't stop it.
Someone's gotta try. Now get out! Don't look back, just run!
You should have heard the people losing their minds when they saw this the first time the Dalek raises off the ground and just blows off the stairs completely. You go, oh my God, this is going to create a whole new generation of nightmares for adults as well as kids. It's like you thought you were safe, you ran to the stairs. No, he's coming after you anyway,
Now you're once again behind the sofa. There's someone else you should meet. Twisted Scaro scientist and creator of the Daleks.
I love the Daleks, love the Cybermen. I am sorry. For me, Davros.
Your voice is different, and yet its arrogance is unchanged.
He's dead.
Welcome to my new empire, Doctor.
Davros, I suppose, is a logical extension of the Daleks. The Daleks became such an integral part of what Doctor Who was. But in purely practical terms, it's quite difficult to have a long dialogue scene with them. So you introduce their creator, and you have Davros, the evil genius, who's that little bit more humanoid, which allows that sort of interaction.
It is only fitting that you should bear witness to the resurrection and the triumph of Davros, Lord and Creator of the Dalek race.
But of course, he's more power-hungry and more bonkers than any Dalek has ever been.
This is my ultimate victory, Doctor. The destruction of reality itself!
Julian, who played Davros, was incredible.
Detonate the reality bomb!
Julian Bleach in Davros's chair was a thing of wonder.
Come with me! I promise I can save you!
Never forget, Doctor. You did this! I name you forever! You are the destroyer of worlds!
I like to think that Davros is still out there, floating around in a capsule, in a pod, really ticked off, waiting for the right moment to return to give the Doctor hell.
Who's your ultimate Doctor Who villain? Go to bbc.co.uk/BBC3 and vote now. We'll be counting down the results across a special Doctor Who Monsters and Villains weekend in November to celebrate the show's 50th anniversary. Get voting now. And up next, it's Motorway Cops.